welcome to Common Sense with Curtis Scott. And I'm here today with Lisa Healy from Midlothian ISD Place 1. How are you doing, Lisa?
I am well, thanks. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Well, if you could just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Sure. My name is Lisa Healy, and I'm running for Midlothian ISD Place 1. I moved to Midlothian about 3.5 years ago. And as soon as I got here, I jumped right in and I got involved, especially with the school district. I had my daughter who was entering her junior year at MHS. So I started attending the school board meetings. I pretty much have not missed a school board meeting, except for like 2 of them in that time period. And then I joined as many committees as they would have me. I am here and I love it. I feel so at home. And did you know that about 50% of Midlothian is just like me? They've moved here in the last 10 years.
Well, I did know that about 50% of our population are new folks to the community. I started this job that I'm in currently with the police department about 7 years ago as community outreach, and we have doubled since then.
Yes.
So in 10 years, we've more than doubled. I think we went from about 18,000, maybe a little less, 15,000 from 10 years ago to about 41,000 now. So that's a huge jump, and that's probably the important part of being a school board position. So that's actually some of the questions I have for you today is, why are you running for?
Yes, I am running.
ISD?
I am running because I want our students to have the best educational opportunities, our teachers to be supported with the right resources and a competitive salary, and also doing it in a fiscally responsible way. So really keeping the taxpayers in mind.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions on that here in just a little bit. So we'll
I'm ready.
A little more on that, yeah. So what would be your number one priority?
I would say our number one priority has to be the education of our students. We have to really focus on the academics and going back to core academics. We need our students to be able to read, write, do science, and understand American history. We have about 57% of our student body can read at grade level. We need to do better. We should do better. And that is my one of my focuses for my campaign. And as a trustee, that would be my focus. As a small business owner and a recovering attorney, I feel that my experience and my background allows me to be focused on results.
Okay, so you were an attorney, I guess, somewhere else, or here in Texas?
Recovering. I was in New York, and
oh, that recovering got me there. So, what do you mean recovering?
I don't do it anymore.
Okay. I mean, being a police officer, you know how we look at attorneys.
I know. That's why I let everyone know I'm recovering. So
that's a total joke on my end too, but I like that recovering there. So you talked a little bit there about, well, you said the number one priority is teaching the kids. So
I think we can do a better job.
You think we can do a better job? Okay, because I believe we do have a great school district. I believe we have some great teachers, but I agree with you. I think we can always try to do better. So I would like to move on to the next question that kind of goes in line with this. And it's been a real controversial over the last 3-4 years. We went through the pandemic, as I call it, and some things were really pushed, and our federal government is still pushing this. And so I'm going to ask this: do you support DEI, ESG, which stands for Environmental Social Governance, and other programs being pushed by the federal government?
As I had mentioned, when I came here 3.5 years ago and my daughter entered the school district, I moved. I had a purpose for my move. And that was to ensure that my daughter was going to get a great education and not be exposed to indoctrination. And I saw what indoctrination can do to an educational system. It really takes away from it, and that's why I say we have to be focused on the academics. When you get involved with DEI and the ESG, when we're data mining our students, we're taking away from their educational experience. And we need to ensure that we are recognizing all the opportunities today for our students so that they do not miss future opportunities. So I am against DEI. I'm against ESG in the academic setting, in the school setting. I don't feel there is a place for it. We need to focus on teaching our kids core curriculum.
Okay, so when you say core curriculum, what do you mean exactly with that? Like,
I mean, like reading, writing, science, American history. They need to understand the founding of this great country and why we are so great so that they can go out and live productive lives and be productive citizens who can live freely in this great country.
okay. Well, it kind of leads, you're doing a great job here leading me to the next questions. So,
And you didn't give them to me.
nope, I did not give them to you. So here's the next question is, how does the Constitution apply to Midlothian ISD School Board, and what is its importance?
The importance, it's really everything. It's our foundation. It's our truth. And if we don't give that to our students, how will they go out and be able to navigate their lives? They need to understand what truth is so that they can have discernment. I think discernment will set our students apart and really let them be able to make the best decisions for themselves. And the Constitution offers that to us. And that's why I say it's so important, not just American history, but Texas history as well. Why our state is so great and why so many people like me want to be here.
So what's so great about this state then?
Well, we have it's affordable to live here. We have we're very strong financially. We have a lot of resources here. They are working to try to reduce our tax burden. And we have some great legislators who want to have government removed from our lives as much as possible. That is not what it's like from the state I came from. And it was a big COVID hit. And I said, we're already in bad shape financially. COVID is going to make it so much worse. They want to impose so many restrictions on our lives. I needed to get away, and I came to Texas.
Okay, yeah. Well, I love Texas. I actually grew up here and everything. I've been to many other states.
I love the homegrown folks here. They've been so good to me. Most of the people I first met when I got here grew up here in Midlothian, and they were so welcoming and they made me feel at home.
Yeah. How long have you been here again?
About 3.5 years.
3.5 years? Okay. So yeah, you came at a really ripe time for the Midlothian has really grown even in that time frame. So,
yes.
And I've got a lot of friends that moved here from California that I even work with, and they left for the same reason, because some of the other states, we won't talk a whole lot about them, but they've got some policies that are just out there.
Yes.
So earlier you talked about taxes. So what is your stance on the school district taxes? Should we increase, decrease, stay the same? What do you really see here?
So with school finance, it is there are some things we don't have a whole lot of control over as a taxing entity. Mainly the M&O, the maintenance and operations part of the budget. That tax rate is provided to us by the state. And that's kind of like our base tax rate. We can always have a higher tax rate, but we have to ask the voters for permission. And we could always reduce that tax rate. But that's really what we base our revenue on, is the number of students, our attendance rate times that tax rate. And the taxes that are coming in equals our revenue. We'll have that. And then we also have a student allotment from the state. So it's those two factors. I believe that we need to focus on our expenditures here in Midlothian. Take a look at them as much as we look at the revenue, because we spend a lot of time looking at revenue, and really determine what are the most important things we need to invest our money in. We need to invest in our teachers. They have not gotten bonuses or one-time payments or a raise. In last year, no raise to the teachers and staff. We need to take care of that part of our district. They are integral in educating our students. They are a big part of us being a better school district and increasing our student outcomes. But if we don't pay them, we're going to lose them. And we need to keep our tremendous teachers we have here in Midlothian. So it is a fine balance. I do believe we have room. We're in a bit of a challenge this year because we have, I don't know if you've heard, but we have a budget deficit. So with that budget deficit, we have to make some hard decisions. But we can do it. I believe we can do it. Dr. Belding has been great, really looking at this deficit and giving the school board options of how to deal with the deficit. And he's also been able to go in the very end of a fiscal year. He's been able to save about $2 million. So if we had had that fiscal restraint at the beginning of last year and during that budget cycle, we possibly wouldn't be as in a big of deficit as we ended up being in.
So just to confirm, you're talking about the new superintendent?
Yes, Dr. Belding.
Okay, just want to make sure, so some of the people, the voters out there, anybody listening,
Yes.
they would know who you're talking about. And so when you say the spending, what was some of the spending? Do you know what cost to get out of hand where we got into a deficit?
Well, the big issue for us, because districts across Texas are facing deficits. Some of the reasons, there are a multitude of reasons for those other school districts, but specifically for Midlothian, we, the last administration overestimated our growth, and that growth did not happen. And myself and other trustees, Trustee Harrison, we asked them not to use those growth numbers because they were not going to come to fruition. As it turned out, they did not happen. So, but we staffed as if we were going to have those additional 380 students, I believe it was. And that, all that cost seems to be where our deficit is coming from, because we spent the money to hire all those teachers and all the insurance and everything that goes, all the benefits, plus we didn't receive the revenue that we had counted on because we used those additional students.
Okay, so I didn't know a lot of this stuff. I keep up a little bit with some of the things going on. I go to some of the things that the school.
I mean, we are going to grow. There's no doubt about it. We are growing, and that is an issue for us that we have to make a plan for. I benefited from the growth. So I'm part of that growth. It just happened to stop last year. There was virtually, and the reason I knew that the growth was not going to happen was the city was not pulling building permits. There were like virtually none last year. Yeah. So knowing that, I knew the students were never going to hit the district. But because the district was going for a bond, they needed those growth numbers to be elevated.
Okay. So that's some good information. Like I said, I keep up a little bit, definitely not as much as you have kept up with things. So I appreciate that information. So my next question, before I let you just kind of give a little more of your spiel here, is what do you believe makes you the best candidate for Midlothian ISD Place Forum?
As I mentioned before, I believe that my business experience as a small business owner and founder, my business has given me a really great life for my daughter and I. I've had it for a little under 10 years. And also having my legal experience. It really allows me to ask hard questions. And look at issues and come up with a plan and really have the fortitude to be focused on results and make sure we are producing successful young people to enter into this crazy world that is before them.
Okay. So that's your reason you believe and everything, but I really just the last little bit here, well, however long it takes, I want you to just speak to the voters or any hot topics you believe they're important right now to you, and you can kind of just say your piece here and a little more in why you think, not just why you're the best candidate, but some of the hot topics, anything you want to discuss. This is your time here.
Sure. I think the hot topic is making sure our students have all the educational opportunities ahead of them. And we have to provide them with great instructional materials, the premier instructional materials in Texas. We also must invest in our teachers and our staff. We have not done so. They must be a priority, and they must be a priority for the next several years until we can get them to a competitive salary. It may take more than 1 year to do that. And finally, we have to do it in a fiscally responsible way. We have to manage the growth that is ahead of us. We have to make sure that we are not asking our taxpayers to pay for programs if we haven't made sure that we are doing good with what we already have. We cannot keep going to the taxpayers to pay for everything. We have to be realistic for them. We have to make sure that with every investment we make, it's the right investment for our students. So I feel those are the big issues. We are, as you said, we are a really good school district, but there is nothing holding us back from being one of the elite school districts in Texas and one of the most fiscally responsible school districts in Texas. And I believe that the board, with me as a trustee, I think I'm the best candidate to do that with the board we have.
Okay, well, if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll call it a day here. Is that everything you have?
One more
Go
request.
ahead.
Okay, so my one request is I have some great endorsements. I have the Ellis County GOP. I have a lot of local endorsements. I have the state Republican Party of Texas. I have our state representative, Brian Harrison's endorsement. But really, the most important endorsement to me would be your vote. So please come out, vote. Early voting starts on Monday, and then we have that for 7 days. And then we move into Election Day on May 4th. I hope to see you at the polls. I'll be there almost the whole time. Please come by and say hi.
Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good afternoon.